Picture this. You're sitting in the pew on Sunday. The gospel has been proclaimed, and then, instead of the priest, a woman you recognize from the parish council walks to the ambo. She's commissioned by the bishop. She's spiritually qualified. She gives a homily that actually speaks to your life, more than the priest has in months. For many Catholics in Germany, this isn't a hypothetical. It's the future they're actively building. At their spring assembly in Würzburg, the German bishops approved a framework that would allow lay people, formally commissioned by their diocesan bishop, to preach during Mass. The newly elected president of the Bishops' Conference, Heiner Wilmer, plans to personally bring this request to Rome. He's not hiding it. He wants to explain it, defend it, and get an answer. But here's the thing. Rome already answered this question 3 years ago with a 7-page letter that said no in no uncertain terms. Cardinal Arthur Roche, the Vatican's prefect for divine worship, wrote to the German bishops in March 2023. His message was theologically precise and pastorally firm. The homily, he explained, isn't just a speech, it's part of the liturgy itself, structurally and inseparably linked to the Eucharistic action. Only someone ordained can give it, not because priests are better preachers or more theologically educated, but because ordination confers a sacred power to act in the person of Christ, the head of the Church. Roche acknowledged what everyone knows. Many homilies fall short, but the solution, he argued, isn't replacing the ordained minister with a more eloquent layperson. It's forming priests better. Pastoral deficiencies, he warned, can't justify solutions whose long-term consequences for the priesthood are unpredictable. The German bishops know this. They received the letter, they read it, and now they're asking again. What changed? Not the theology, not the canon law. Canon 767 remains clear that the homily is reserved to priests and deacons. What changed is the context. Germany's synodal way just concluded its final assembly in Stuttgart this past February, after 6 years of debate over power, participation, and reform in the wake of the abuse crisis. For reformers like Irme Stederkarp, president of the Central Committee of German Catholics, the outcome was clear. We made it. The debate is no longer simply about who speaks from the ambo. It's become a test case for the limits of synodality, the reach of episcopal conferences, and whether sacramental theology itself is open to reinterpretation. And the German bishops aren't alone in pushing. In 2023, Bishop Franz Josef Bode of Osnabrück announced that lay people could regularly preach homilies in his diocese. About a week later, Pope Francis accepted his resignation. Now the German Church waits. Wilmer plans to bring the request to Rome personally. Cardinal Mario Grech is scheduled to attend Germany's Katholikenpag in May, a strong sign, Wilmer says, of connection between local and universal synodality. But some German bishops have already withdrawn from the reform dialogue entirely. Cardinal Rainer Maria Wolke of Cologne and 3 other bishops cite Vatican reservations. They won't participate. So what happens next? If Rome says no again, as the law and sacramental theology strongly suggest, will the German bishops accept it? Or will they push harder, risking a rupture that Pope Francis warned against in 2019? The universal church lives in and from the particular churches. If they were separated, they would weaken, decay, and die. For Catholics watching this unfold, the question cuts deeper than who preaches on Sunday. It's about what holds the church together. When a local church asks the same question 3 years after receiving an answer, is it seeking dialogue or something else? Maybe the real issue isn't the homily at all. Maybe it's about who gets to decide what the homily means, and that question, once opened, is very hard to close.